What's up and welcome to My Point of View. I am your fat and opinionated host, and throughout the course of this Bud Light story, a lot of people have really let their true colors show. Or at the very least, they have shown that they do not fully understand the complexities of what we are dealing with right now in this country. From people like Donald Trump Jr. to people like Joe Rogan. You know, I really like Joe Rogan, and I really like his podcast. But early on in this Bud Light drama, Joe Rogan said that he didn't think this was a big deal. He thought the Bud Light drama was stupid. And him and his friend, or him and the person who was on his podcast that day, they cracked open a Bud Light and they laughed about it. And you know, in that moment, I realized that even Joe Rogan doesn't understand the complexities of what we're dealing with here. But I think that as time has progressed, maybe Joe Rogan understands why people are so upset now. You know, they want you looking at things from a surface level. And from a surface level, some people may view the situation like, so what? You know, Bud Light can promote their beer how they want. It shouldn't be a problem if Dylan Mulvaney or any other person is on the side of a beer can. And I understand that stance. But you know, everything isn't always just cut and dry. Sometimes you have to really think about things. Sometimes you actually have to put thought into things instead of just judging things at a passing glance. Like I've explained to you all throughout multiple videos, this is not about the fact that Dylan Mulvaney identifies as a woman. It's not about those issues. It's about the fact that Dylan Mulvaney has cultivated an audience of kids who he indoctrinates with these issues and with, you know, false information about various things they can do to their body. Let's just put it like that. So people have an issue with Dylan Mulvaney being on a beer can, not because of how he identifies, but because of who he promotes himself to. So when Dylan Mulvaney is promoting beer, he's promoting beer to his 12 to 16-year-old audience on TikTok, all of which seem to not be comfortable accepting who they are, if you catch my drift. Well, as the days passed, I think Joe Rogan has caught on a little bit. Maybe he started thinking about the situation a little deeper than the surface, and now he's kind of changed his tune, and he actually just criticized Bud Light for the new commercial they just released. Now you might remember, if you haven't already, you can go check out that video. I trashed this new commercial they released because it was obvious that they were trying to pander to a certain crowd to try to reel them back in. They basically made a super pro America ad with horses and the countryside. And I mean, just to put it in blatantly, they tried to make an ad that would appeal to conservatives, thinking that they could reel conservatives back in because they think that conservatives, or at the very least, what people would view as traditional conservatives, they think that those are the only people upset by the Dylan Mulvaney situation. So the ad that they ran, it was cringy. And you could see right through what they were doing. But they released it anyway. You see, they did not realize that a lot of the people who were upset by this campaign with Dylan Mulvaney, these people aren't traditional conservatives. I'm not a traditional conservative. In fact, polls show that like 40% of Democrats were actually against this as well. It turns out that people from all political parties are opposed to this type of stuff. Now, of course, the loudest voices and the activists will make you think otherwise. But in reality, regular, everyday people who don't live their life online, who aren't as aware of the culture wars and the stuff raging on around us, they're not okay with a lot of the stuff that's being pushed in this country. Well, Joe Rogan had a lot to say about this ad, and I want to get into some of what he had to say right now. So let's just go ahead and dive into this article. Podcaster Joe Rogan has criticized the latest pro-America Bud Light commercial for being stupid and cliche, and a shallow attempt by the company to recover from the Dylan Mulvaney backlash. Speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience Thursday, Rogan said the brand's identity was unclear. "We don't know who you really are now," he said. The commercial released last week depicts a Clydesdale galloping through rural American towns with a patriotic voiceover, and was released after a partnership between Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney backfired. In the days after that partnership was announced, $6 billion was wiped off of parent company Anheuser-Busch's market cap in a backlash to the popular lager using the popular lager using Mulvaney as a spokesperson. Although Rogan has been largely critical of Bud Light throughout the saga, last week he did say the controversy was overblown. Commenting on the new commercial during a podcast episode Thursday with fellow comedian Jim Breuer, Rogan said, "It's like the effing dumbest pro-America rah-rah. Like we don't know who you really are now. It's so stupid and cliche. It hurts my feelings. It's so dumb," he added. "This is a company in deep shit." The pair watched the commercial together, mocking the superficial imagery of farmers and veterans sharing beers. "Look, you got the prairies, you got the ocean, you got a Clydesdale running down the street," said Rogan, narrating the video. "I would respect this if they had this and then had Dylan Mulvaney just start cartwheeling into the frame," Rogan said. He commented on how the company was confused as to who it should be marketing to, and referred to comments made before the controversy last month by the company's VP of marketing. There's like interviews with the lady who is the head of Bud Light, Elisa Heinerscheid, talking about why they did it and about the old sort of frat culture attached to Bud Light, dismissing the humor of the people that like Bud Light, Joe Rogan said. In a video explaining the company's marketing strategy, Heinerscheid said that she wanted to update the Bud Light image by eliminating its fratty connotation. Rogan suggested that instead of alienating that group, the company should have just made a sincere effort to advocate inclusion. If she just said, "Everyone can like Bud Light. America is the freedom to be whoever the F you want to be." If that's what they said, I'd be like, "Okay, great," he said. "I hate you even more now," he added. "It's so obvious what they're doing. They needed to let that sit for a little bit." And I agree with basically everything he said there. That had to be one of the most cringe-worthy ads I've ever seen. And we've seen ads like that before, and I always felt like they were kind of cringy. But watching it happen and watching it play out right after this Dylan Mulvaney fiasco, it just shows you how it's obvious, like almost what I would label as propaganda. Like you're really trying to effectively reach a certain demographic with this commercial. A certain demographic that you just alienated with your last ad. But one thing Joe Rogan said is that he said that he thinks Anheuser-Busch or Bud Light is confused about who to market their beer to. And I don't think that we should give them leeway when it comes to that, because there should be no confusion here. It's like, are you trying to promote your beer to the working class Americans, or are you trying to promote your beer to 11-year-olds on TikTok who are questioning their gender? It's really that simple. So there should be no confusion over who you're promoting your beer to. But the fact that they are confused, or they pretend to be confused, it just shows you who they truly are. There should never have been this conversation. I shouldn't have to be making these videos right now. Common sense tells you not to put a person like that on a beer can, or to use a person like that to promote things like beer. So in my opinion, it doesn't matter how they try to spin it. I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel any sympathy. I do not understand where they were coming from a business perspective at all. This was obviously bad for business. Anyone with common sense would tell you that before they even released these beer cans. And the fact that they keep trying to explain it away by, hey, we're trying to reach new demographics. We're trying to find new people to promote the beer to. So we decided to get a TikTok star who has 10 million followers, who basically consists of a bunch of middle school and high school kids, to promote beer. Like you're just sticking your foot in your mouth over and over again and making yourself look even worse. But anyways, let me know your opinions about this down in the comments below. Did you like their new commercial? Do you think it was cringy? Let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, ring that notification bell, and remember to always, always remain opinionated.